As the Canadian election campaign passes the halfway point, the media gloves are off. The mainstream media, CTV, Global, the Toronto Star, and of course the CBC, have thrown their weight behind Mark Carney, polishing his image bordering on idolatry. But the ground is shifting, and they know it. A Conservative victory could redraw the media landscape in ways that terrify the old guard. First, picture the CRTC, that bureaucratic beast overseeing broadcasting and the internet. Right now, it's a gatekeeper, often accused of scrubbing opinions the left finds inconvenient. Under a Conservative government, the CRTC could get a facelift, new leadership, a new mandate, one laser focused on freedom of speech. No more sanitizing dissent to appease a narrow ideology. Instead, rules that let ideas flourish, even the conservative ones that make leftists squirm. That alone would send shockwaves through the system. Then there's the CBC, the crown jewel of Canada's media empire. For years, critics have called it a mouthpiece for liberal talking points, marinated in woke dogma. A Conservative government wouldn't waste time. They'd replace its leadership on day one, purging the bias that's alienated so many Canadians. Defunding would follow, not a sudden axe, but a gradual unwind, forcing the CBC to stand on its own. Imagine a CBC that doesn't lean left by default, one that actually reflects the country's diversity of thought. It could become Canada's answer to Fox News, which dominates the US media market, not because it's perfect, but because it offers a counterpoint to the CNNs and MSNBCs of the world. Fox's common sense conservative opinions draws millions, balancing a media ecosystem that often tilts hard left. A reinvented CBC could do the same thing, pulling in viewers hungry for something different. And as viewership grows, so does the advertising revenue, which would replace the taxpayer funding. The rest of the big media players are nervous, and they should be. If the CBC shifts right, it could steal their thunder, forcing CTV, Global, the Star, and the rest of them to compete for relevance. The liberal media has leaned on the status quo for far too long, cozying up to power while dismissing half the country's views to maintain their gravy train. A right-leaning CBC could expose their blind spots, leaving them scrambling to adapt. But the real winners might be the independents. Outlets like Juno, Rebel, and the Western Standard, these scrappy underdogs have been gaining ground, speaking directly to Canadians who feel ignored. Their reporters and podcasters, unfiltered, could become the new faces of a revitalized CBC. Picture them drawing fresh audiences, people who've long since ditched mainstream news. Companies would notice, pouring ad dollars into a CBC that's suddenly relevant again. A self-financing CBC is not a pipe dream. It's a model that could work under new management as a profit maker. The CBC can then be sold, and no future Liberal government could change its editorial leanings since it would be a private company. But none of this happens without a Conservative majority. Canadians have to see through the fog of mainstream propaganda in this campaign. Right now, the media is all in for Carney, painting him as a second coming. If voters buy it, brace for more of the same, only worse. Carney's Liberals will double down on censorship, crank up the wokeness, and tighten the screws on wrongthink. Penalties for saying the wrong thing could become the norm, with dissenters silenced under the guise of protecting the public. A Conservative win could break the media's stranglehold, giving voice to ideas long suppressed. Anything less than we're staring at a future where propaganda tightens its grip. Canadians aren't blind, they're skeptical, fed up, and ready for change. But they need to see through the TV media propaganda. The question is whether they'll see it before it's too late. Share, subscribe, and donate. Bye.